Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on our video. It means a lot if you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making it. Today, we're live to talk about this crazy episode. Go ahead, Skylander, tell them your predicament because I'm sure it'll come up 8 times
my
during this live
If
stream.
any of you have Dish, then you guys know the struggle because Dish just for some reason blocks CBS because they're mad at them for some reason. He was talking about like, oh, you guys are being used as pawns. The guy that came like, shut up, I want to watch Survivor. So they cut it off right at Tribal, so I couldn't even watch Tribal. So I had to get explained like a little fourth grade kid what happened in Tribal by Spencer.
So I did a pretty good job. I explained to him everything that happened on the next time up. So he's somewhat caught up, but I can understand the frustration there. But yeah, so overall, what we're looking at for this episode is I think this is a rebound episode. I think this episode is almost, if not better, than the first episode, and that's saying something because the first episode was 2 hours. I mean, like we had a matter of we had an episode where it was so balanced. We had so much camp life, but it didn't feel like too much. And we got all of the stuff we need to. We got all 3 tribes. Thank you. Give me all 3 tribes every single episode. I need it. That's the thing for me is like when you have like no tribes, like except for Yase in the episode, I feel like it's not as balanced. But I'm curious, what do you guys think about this episode? How do you guys feel about the episode as a whole? And then we'll go through the whole thing chronologically. So Underdog, how do you feel about the episode since you actually watched the whole thing?
I don't have as strong feelings about it as you did. I enjoyed it, but wasn't like I preferred the premiere, and for a couple of reasons. First of all, still for the second episode in a row, didn't see any content of Erica or Heather, and also we didn't see anything of Xander, who has been a pretty big figure the first 2 episodes. So I mean, it wasn't as bound. Like, of course, in an hour-long episode, you're not going to give everybody confessionals. I get that, but we had some pretty big characters and also some characters that are so far getting pretty purpled so far this season. And then also most of I'm pretty sure there was just one segment in the pre-immunity challenge portion of the show that was not talking about advantages. And by the end, I got a little bit advantaged out. I felt like it was a little bit scavenger hunty. So that's my one complaint with the episode. Okay, well, I just listed complaints, but yeah.
Skylander.
Yeah, what's up? Oh, my thoughts on the episode? It was pretty good until I'm just kidding. No, I liked it. Yeah, pissed off. Obviously, I couldn't watch Tribal because, like, again, cut off right at Tribal. But before Tribal, it was pretty good. I don't really care that like Erica and Heather aren't getting confessionals. They'd probably be boring AF either way.
Yep.
Yeah. Overall thoughts. Thought it was cool. That little island thing they went to was cool. Brad totally butchered his freaking
it was so
it also
funny.
brings up the question, can Xander even get his vote now because the person that got the beware advantage is out? So
that's what I was thinking. Also,
they were definitely gonna have to discuss that. Yeah.
Also, now that they're calling literally every advantage the beware advantage, that's the thing I was confused on. Is they're really calling every advantage the beware advantage, just like different types. So why don't they call like the blue beware advantage, where if everyone finds like the one where it's at a three-way idol. There's like that beware advantage. There's the one that 3 people found, where like that's also technically the beware advantage. I'm just so confused as to are they going to call every advantage that comes from that island the quote unquote beware advantage? Because if they are, that's so confusing. I don't understand. And then is Deshaun's like extra vote is that considered a quote unquote beware advantage? There's so much here that I just I like that they're trying this stuff, and I'm actually not very confused. But I think it could be explained just a teeny bit better. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, yeah. So I feel like every single advantage that like they're gonna throw at the people, it's gonna be something like, well, you get this, but you have to do that, and that's what's gonna be called a beware advantage. Because like Jeff was always like, this is a risky game. Your vote's always you can always lose your vote, which is something Jeff said actually in the preseason that like your vote isn't safe. So I feel like every single one of these things, like you got to go kill one of your tri-mines, but if you don't, you lose your vote or whatever like that. Something like that. Not obviously to that extreme, but they're going to do something where they're like, well, I don't really want to do that, but if you don't, you lose your vote. So,
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like this advantage. It's just like something about it, just like I like when advantage isn't an advantage. Not every advantage in the pre-merge is called the beware advantage. And then is Allen going to exist in the post-merge? I feel like a lot of this stuff wasn't fleshed out for the audience, and we're kind of left to guess a lot of stuff, which I like to a certain extent. Like I like being able to speculate. But at the same time, I also don't want to have to speculate everything. Like I want to know what everything's set up to be. At least like I feel like having a good setup is really part of a good season. Is having like that really good setup to whatever the situation is, and so to see like a lack of setup here is kind of frustrating as a viewer for sure. How do you guys feel about this boot overall? And then we'll go through this whole episode in a row.
So someone finally actually uploaded the vote out. So I'm gonna watch it out quick. Underdog, you say whatever you think about it.
Cool.
Yeah. So on the topic of the beware advantage, I don't think they're called beware advantages. I think they're saying beware. This is an advantage, but it comes with a risk. That's just how I'm reading it. So I think we should just not call them beware advantages because they're going to keep having this tagline on them. We should just say the 3-way idol advantage, the extra vote advantage, or the go to the island advantage, whatever. But anyways, I was sad to see Brad go. He was a fun character. He obviously wasn't very good at the game, but I would have liked to see him on my TV longer. And so, both of the last 2 weeks, I've been sad to see the person go home.
So
yeah, I can agree.
Like Brad played hard though, you know. I think he said it in his confessional. You don't win Survivor by playing hard, and sometimes you play hard and it rewards you. Sometimes you play hard and you're an early vote out, you know. So it's that risk versus reward, and I wouldn't mind to see Brad to come back. I think he has a shot of coming back from like a early boots season. I mean, he was a really fun character.
I think everyone from this pre-merge, except for maybe Abraham, has a genuine shot. I especially Voce so far and Brad so far. And if JD is going to get booted, which it looks like he might be in a bad spot here because he's literally arguing with Shan on the next time on Survivor, which is not what you want to do if you're on that tribe. So
winning the game, there's no way. There's no way she's not. There is no way she's not winning the game at this point.
Well, yeah,
I don't think she is, but I do think that she's in complete control of the tribe, obviously, because everyone thinks she's their number one.
Well, like,
to
be fair, you had Deshaun at your 16, so like I don't really know if you get to say if the
Spencer, that's just not your opinion isn't valid.
Okay. Deshaun is not looking too hot right now for this next time on Survivor. Apparently, he wants to throw a challenge. He wants to throw a challenge and. Do I need to remind you about Drew Christie? Do I need to remind you?
Do I need to remind you about Mike Holloway?
Do I need to remind you about Devious D-Rag? His name is Devious D-Rag. He's doing something devious, okay? And he's also not.
He's doing devious licks on Survivor. I mean, how can you not like this guy?
He's also not going to go up to like freaking Nasir, like while he's talking to other people, like we should get rid of Nasir because we hate them, whatever Drew was doing. Because basically, I'm a badass, or like whatever.
Basically, I'm a badass manipulator of this game.
He's a game changer. He knew that Wentworth was going to be an amazing player of the game. See, he should have been on Game Changers, honestly.
He did have a good sense. That's for sure. But no, I mean, overall, like I am not a big fan of throwing challenges unless you have someone who's going to flip on you. I think that's the only reason you would ever throw a challenge. That or if you have like a Joe, like in Worlds Apart. I think those are the only two scenarios where you really need to flip throw a challenge in the pre-merge. But just touching on one last thing, I have to say I'm very, very applause to the editors. I mean, obviously Abraham is kind of hard to sell as who is it? Because that's a pretty obvious boot. But as far as as far as Sarah goes, Voce goes, and now Brad, I've genuinely been like a jaw drop shocked every single time.
I disagree.
The edit has tricked me every single time. I mean,
the edit didn't trick me tonight. I knew going into Tribal Brad was going home. There's no way.
I just saw Brad get built up as this person, this advantage. He has this advantage. It's all setting up, and on top of that, now I did not, and I did think it was a terrible decision or at least from his perspective to think that Shan's his number one when Shan hasn't even voted with him.
It was actually Jenny, surprisingly, was his number one.
Yeah, that makes more sense because they seem like the ones that are left out from the JD, Ricard, and Chantel, and also Sarah before, like quadruple, whatever you want to call it. But to see Brad think that Chantel's number one just shows how good Chantel is playing. But I think other than that, I think he got nothing but positive content this episode. Definitely much more positive than JD because we had JD getting the dodo music in both the challenge and also in the post
Trying to
challenge.
do like some
where-
NBA trick shots. Like what the
Yeah,
heck was
yeah,
doing that
literally,
challenge?
Are
like-
we on NBA 2K, my guy? Come on.
like literally when Probst and Chantel, Probst the host and Chantel the literal like goddess of this season, the person who's running your drive,
The narrator of the
yeah,
season.
the literal narrator season is and the actual narrator of the season is telling you, stop, what are you doing, or you look like an idiot. That is a Dodo music moment. And then obviously he got literal Dodo music after when he's caught sagging his pants with an advantage that you noticed in his pants. Like, what are you
What is-
doing?
Bro, how would you
Like-
let that happen? Like, oh,
like,
sorry, it slipped
yeah.
out of my pants. You know, it happens. I just accidentally have an advantage showing.
At least it
No
was
big
that
deal.
and not something else that slipped out of his pants.
Oh my god.
Yo, stop the cap.
Yo,
No, but yeah, no, I feel like overall, JD, I was so shocked because JD got nothing but negative content, and also because he kind of his edit slipped away in
Mhm.
episode 2, and so I felt like they were trying to get us less like connected to him. But at the same time, I was like, wait, how can it be JD? Because he got such a great premiere, and then Brad got such a great he got a crazy last episode and a great this episode. So like, which one is it? Is the person who got a great episode this one, or a great episode in the premiere? And it turned out to be the one that got the great episode in the premiere. But overall, the edit completely tricked me. But let's get into this episode, complete from the start, and we'll go all the way to the end.
Mhm.
And unless you have a comment first, you seem like you have a comment.
I got a comment. I think Brad's downfall is that he has I think he has too much of an old school thought of Survivor. Each time he targeted someone was because they didn't do good in the challenge. I think if he were to come back, he needs to kind of work on maybe, even though they didn't do good in the challenge, put it on someone else. I thought it would have been perfect for Brad to put a target on Ricard because I don't think really Chantel has any incentive to keep
That's true.
Ricard.
That's true.
And I just think it would have been a lot easier. Like Chantel's like, oh, I have to choose now between Brad and JD, and I love them both. We'll just choose Ricard then. You don't
That's
seem
true.
to have that good of a relationship with him. And he also is you can tell he's pretty schemy. You know, he's been talking behind people's back and stuff. I don't really get why she thought she had to have this whole emotional thing between JD and Brad when Ricard or Jenny could have easily just been plucked right there too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Brad's downfall was his social game. He had a great strategical sense. I feel like he wasn't some sort of Dodo music type of guy. Like he wasn't just some guy who's socially just inept. But I think his social game was probably his worst part. Obviously, physically, he was probably the best on the whole tribe by a country mile. Literally a country mile. And then
back to the range.
Dahlia said, yeah, that's right. Yeah, set the country boy back to the. I feel like that's our best line from the season. Our best one-liner from the season. Probably. I mean, I do like Voce's idiot, like when he said it.
No, he said fail. And when he got voted out, that was also pretty
he,
funny.
He said fail, idiot. That was a pretty good exit
moron.
Yeah, it was he said idiot, moron, or wait, what did he say? It sounded so on
So
brand.
in the very beginning,
no, not in his confessional about the water. I'm talking about when he got voted out. He yelled out
said fail.
idiot.
He said fail.
He said fail.
Because that's what people in their 20s do, I guess. Fail. Epic fail.
He's not in his 20s.
Hashtag lol. I don't know.
He's in his 30s. He's like 33 or something.
To be
right?
he looks like he's. I don't know. I was gonna make some meme about millennials or something right there. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, we agree. We love Brad and JD.
We love Brad.
And so to see the episode come between them was very I don't like it.
I was like,
But,
no, it's between them two. I like them both. So second chance for Voce and actually, it turns out second chance she was actually just going to be the entire cast of 41 that got voted.
Literally,
facts.
Literally the entire cast, or at least the entire
a 17-person cast.
Yeah, just everyone, everyone that got voted out on on freaking on 41. Also, when you said, I don't know why I got scared, but in the Discord, you're didn't you hear the spoilers? Chantel got mad. I don't know why. My heart stopped.
I was just
trolling,
dude.
I know, but spoilers are
something.
everywhere. So
What's up, Snuff?
What's up,
Snuffed.
Yo,
G'day.
it's Snuff.
What
said
a crazy episode today.
I know.
Crazy.
Right?
I mean, I need to go add you to the title nudge. No, but I mean, so go ahead, Skylander. Tell Snuffed what our issue was.
Okay, what do you have AT&T or something? You're what do you got? Who's your provider or whatever? Mine's Dish, okay? And so for some reason the people at Dish are mad at CBS for some reason. I don't know, it's something dumb. And so they stopped showing the channel of CBS, and I couldn't watch Tribal Council.
That's not fun at all. But of course, you know what happened there. I think they're just mad that Brad went home in this instance.
Yeah,
They must
probably.
be massive Brad
Rage quit.
fans, Dish.
Probably, yeah. And it was something about how you guys are pawns with the big corporations. It's like I don't care, dude. Like, just show me Survivor. Like some guy came on after, like it was like saying sorry to inconvenience you. Like you're inconvenient. Oh my god, I was pretty heated, but you know it's just whatever, I guess.
I mean, I have to say, I love Brad and JD. So to see it come down to one of them was very like, but at the same time, what I was saying before you left was, I love this episode. I think this episode was a huge rebound from at least last episode. Obviously, the premiere was great, but I feel like this episode, because it did what the first episode did, in my opinion, in less time, I'm almost more impressed with this episode. I mean, how do you feel stuffed about this episode? Do you think it's a rebound from last episode? Do you think it's worse? Worst episode of the season so far? Best? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I was just saying I just recorded my recap, which is in the process of uploading to my channel right now. But I was saying, I really enjoying this season so far. I've been loving every single moment. I think this episode improved my perception a little bit of how the season's going so far, and seeing all these different twists. I know people are very on the fence about it. There's some people who obviously love these twists, others who don't. I like the Warrior Advantage; it adds another factor to the game. I liked seeing how Sydney went around Tiffany and determining what she might do in the game, deciding ultimately to take that top, knowing that it could screw her over, not knowing how much you can trust Tiffany, because I mean they've never met in the game until now.
That's
at
true.
this point. So I'm really liking how this season carries so much weight as to what happens in the game. Every decision you make ultimately has $1 million consequence at the end of the day. And for Brad, in terms of picking up those advantage, and for Luvu not finding that idol at the end of the day, it ended up screwing him over because he didn't have a vote at Tribal Council and ultimately had no power. And in the end, it meant that his torch was snuffed.
I mean, do you think? Because personally, I've been shocked at both the Sarah. I mean, the Abraham was very obvious, but I think the Sarah, the Voce, and now the Brad vote. I have to say, as someone who I don't read the edit, but I think I genuinely understand what they're trying to do when they tell a story. And I was completely shocked for the Sarah, the Voce, and the Brad boots, all of them. I was completely dumbfounded. I don't know about you guys, all of you guys. I'd like to hear all of your comments on it.
Can I say? So Voce, come side with me. Brad, even though obviously I didn't see it, I got to stop talking about that. I didn't see it, okay? But when you told me about it, I was like, that kind of makes sense, because let's say it's just Chantel and just Brad and just JD. I mean, why? I don't really see why Chantel would have gotten JD in that situation. I mean, he just gave her an advantage, so she could have just plucked them out and just had his advantage. But he obviously is in her back pocket, like she said or whatever. So to just waste a vote like that, because he's gonna be with her now, I think, for a good majority of the game. So I wouldn't personally, if I had to choose between Brad or JD, I would have gotten rid of Brad, but I probably would have voted that Ricard if I could, or Jenny, because I just think it's a better decision between those two. But it is what it is.
Underdog, how are we feeling about this this overall?
The edit? Well, I was saying earlier, I kind of felt like the edit was kind of obvious, making it that Brad was going to go home, because I knew JD was more than likely safe given his strong premiere. So people like him. And I feel like he wasn't edited strong enough this episode to really go home. I mean, obviously there's a chance that he could have, but I felt like it was so negative on JD, and he's a fan favorite, and he's someone that we're relatable to. And especially at the beginning of the episode when he's quoting Reem and Woo, that was just so much fun. There's no way that they're going to send him home just because he had his extra vote sticking out of his pants. And I felt like Brad was getting maybe maybe he's going to get saved. And then especially at Tribal Council, when Jeff asked JD, if this is the end for you 7 days in, what is the story going to be? And you had this emotional segment about JD. And then he asked Brad, well, Brad, when you're going back to camp tonight, what's going to be the mood? It was kind of obvious to me that Brad was going, but maybe I just got lucky with reading that at this time. But also, just like to point out in terms of Brad, because Brad was one of my favorite characters on the season. And if Luvu had found the dang advantage, Brad would have A, had his vote, and B, he would have been able to use the steal a vote, at least if he knew that he didn't have the numbers. He would have been able to use the steal a vote on JD, and then he would have 2 votes. Jeannie would have a vote. they three would vote for JD, and then whatever Shannon Ricard do is irrelevant. So really, it's not entirely Brad's fault that he went. It's the people on Luvu's fault.
I don't think he plays it honestly still. And yeah, I also love that part of Tribal Council. Oh wait, I couldn't see. I'm sorry. Like the Tribal Council is obviously a big part, and like, you know, they probably was it like a boring. I don't know. Was it like a boring Tribal Council?
It was
like,
pretty straightforward Tribal Council.
Yeah.
I thought at least this season the Tribal Council has been, you know, not too exciting. I mean, obviously you had the first one with Ua, with the whole live Tribal Council and JD creating some chaos, Shan going around and whispering in everyone's ears as to whether they would target Sarah or Brad. But I thought this Tribal Council was pretty ordinary. Shan's comment, Shan and JD's comments about the crystal and how Shan said that, you know, if you drop a crystal, you can't repair it. Your relational stock in the game is so important, and it's near impossible to rebuild that once it's actually broken. I think that was a crucial piece. And I was really thinking that perhaps she would vote for JD, but I think it was probably the right decision for Shan's game going forward, and certainly for Ricard as well, to keep JD in the game, knowing that she now has a very loyal ally who she can have in her pocket the whole time, and really not have to worry about anything going against her, because, you know, at this point she's basically saved JD's life in the game. Whereas with Brad, you know, he's so unpredictable. Yes, Brad might consider Shan to be his number one ally, but at that point, how much can you trust someone that now has this stealer vote, which he doesn't know about at that point, but also having an idol in his pocket? You don't want to work with players who are extremely erratic. And I think Brad is one of those Tony Vlachos-like players where you never know where you really stand with him. And, you know, she could have been the Sarah Lucina in that instance, and Tony could have just created so much chaos, or Brad in this instance could have created so much chaos that it would have screwed her over. I think it's easier working with JD than someone like Brad.
Yeah, I agree. So what we want to do is let's go through the whole episode. Go ahead, Snuff. Since you just did a recap, you just filmed it. Which, by the way, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to Snuff, go watch his stuff. He has a video that just went live 2 minutes ago. I don't know how he gets these videos out this fast and edits them. This is absolutely impressive. I'm genuinely shocked. But,
insane grinder.
Yeah, I mean, seriously,
on the grind every day.
That's impressive. But Snuffed, since you've already done this once, go ahead and take us through the big points of each episode. Let's go through scene by scene. Go ahead and say, whatever happened, and we'll all give our opinions on it, including you.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing that really impressed me this episode was what Underdog mentioned there before. JD's impressions of Reem and Wu were so spot on. I would really like to see the extended cut of this and actually see what other impressions he gave. Perhaps there's some impressions of, I don't know, Boston Rob is always a great impression to do. Yeah, Rodney Lavoie, washing dishes on my effing birthday. So many great impressions that I'd love to see, but certainly seen that on the show. And I think from this season, I've really enjoyed that a lot of the players on this season are super fans. And we did see a lot of that in their little segments from home. We saw, with Sarah and Brad, them talking about how they watched the show with their loved ones and how important a part of their lives it was, and connecting with their family, and losing those members. It's like losing a little part of your family and losing a little part of your survivor ritual. I think that's been one of the great things this season, is how many super fans there are in this cast. And that moment with JD on the beach, sitting there with Ricard and Brad, actually spouting out these impressions, was really, really good fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I wanted the extended cut like 2 hours of just JD giving survivor impressions or whatever about. I don't even know what other. I really hope he did Rodney. I'm watching this on my birthday. Really watching my birthday scumbags or whatever. That would have been so funny.
These freaking scumbags make you watch
scumbags claim to be survivor family.
Hope you guys get eaten by a bunch of crocodiles, you scumbags.
You scumbag.
Russell Muscle, tune in to hop on the stream.
I'm basically a badass.
I'm basically a badass and a manipulator of this game. Yeah. Because you weren't here, Snuff, but they were talking. I ranked. I don't know if you saw, but I ranked Deshaun very, very low in my power rankings. In fact, at the complete bottom. And I actually, they obviously disagreed. They all disagreed. And because it looks like Deshaun's going to try and throw a challenge next episode, which Danny does not like, his number one ally. And I was like, he's going to Drew Christie himself, and then we started talking about Drew Christie, and that was a fun conversation.
Basically, a badass and a manipulator of this game.
What are your thoughts on Drew Christie stuff? Do you do you dislike him? Do you like him as a character? Do you like what he brought to the season? I'm just curious.
Why are we talking about Drew Christie?
Yeah, we're talking about Survivor.
Yeah,
41.
Drew was not in this season. Drew almost reminds me. I mean, when I first saw Xander, I thought he would beat up Drew Christie. He really does come across as that young 20-year-old who doesn't care about much except for throwing challenges and screwing over his tribe. But in this instance, it's Tiffany and Evie and Liana that have screwed over the tribe. So they're almost Drew Christie and the tribe in that instance, and forcing them to lose challenge upon challenge.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they would have just won the challenge faster if Voce was there. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's not because Tiffany's great. They just would have won the challenge faster as Voce.
They might even got the first plate of fruit too. If they
oh
faster.
my god! Yeah, could you believe that? First place, Yasa. Oh my god, what a revelation that would be, right? Yeah, I mean, it was surprising that we didn't see that much content from Xander. We did get the freaking dead butterflies, but that brings me to the next part, I think, of the episode where, like, well, now what happens since Brad's gone with the Beware advantage, right? Like, what are the logistics of how they get used? Is Xander just gonna have to freaking say butterflies are there now? No one's gonna say broccoli. Like, what's gonna happen? What's happening?
I think once it's found, my theory is that it's already been found on the Green Tribe, so no one needs to find it again. Although they may replant it, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, they'll have to replant it because the idol isn't activated unless all three players say the phrase at the immunity challenge. So someone on that Ua tribe is going to have to actually find that again, because otherwise it's not activated unless someone on Ua says the thing about the broccoli, unless Xander says the thing about the dead relatives being butterflies saying hi. And again, someone on Luvu has to say that phrase at the AstroTurf at the same immunity challenge. And then from there, they're activated and everyone can vote again. So I do think that idol will have to be replanted in the game. And someone from Ua is going to have to find that, in addition to someone from Luvu to find it as well. It baffles me that Luvu still haven't found the idol at this stage. You would think they would do something at this stage similar to what they did with Sydney in that Beware advantage by just putting it directly in front of her and just line it on the floor at camp to make it accessible. But it is good fun seeing, as sad as it is seeing Brad go home without a vote and really being screwed over by this three-way immunity idol. It does add another aspect at Tribal Council in determining how true are your allies in the game, and can you trust them even when you don't have your vote in the game at Tribal Council. It adds an extra layer of complexity, which I'm enjoying this season.
Good.
Imagine this, okay? Next episode, it opens, okay? Ginny opens her bag. The Beware advantage was willed to you by Brad. I'm just saying, what if he gets to will two-player?
Oh my gosh, what if it's a legacy?
No, like I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but that'd be pretty interesting if we don't get this to happen, but Brad actually gets to will the Beware advantage to someone, which actually might be a disadvantage now that I'm thinking about it. But
I mean, the advantage seems like a death sentence to me because, if you have it, you have to publicly declare it an immunity challenge, and then people will probably catch on to what you're saying. So then people know you have an idol. Also, people know you won't have a vote. And then before all three tribes can get it, someone will just get voted out. And so that tribe will have to find it again and again. And then people will continue getting voted out. And I don't think this idol is going to even ever form. I think this is what ended up is going to be looked at as a poorly thought out advantage by production that won't ever get used and can't ever be reused again, because then as soon as someone starts saying wacky phrases at challenges, then people are going to know they have some sort of advantage. So I think this is a fun idea and concept, but
I don't mind the concept overall. I think having all idols have to be activated, I think it's nice. As you say, the wacky phrases is a little bit of a downside. I think it's fun in this season, but as you say, as it progresses from season to season, if that continues, it's going to be so obvious what's going on there. But to that end, I think that it is a good way to get around having so many idols in the game so early on, and having a player like, Rick Devens just steamroll through by making sure that there's only, 3 idols in the pre-merge essentially, and none of them are active until all the idols have been found. I think it adds another layer, and it actually makes idols more crucial and more of a rarity in the game. And again, it does give you that risk of, do you want this advantage in the game because it might hinder you in the short term Whereas, you can use them in the long run, but in the short term, if no one else has found the idol and it hasn't been activated at this stage, you might be risking your vote for the next couple of tribals, with the potential of, sticking around and then using it later on. It does add another complexity for players to work around, determine, do I actually want to do this going forward? Although we haven't seen any player in the game actually find the Bull Revenge and say, no, I'm not taking that risk at this point. Which would be interesting to see if someone actually does weigh that up. Maybe we'll see that with Luvu, or maybe, as you say there, with it being potentially replanted on Ua, if Genie spots that, does she say, maybe I might not touch it because I don't want to risk my vote, knowing what has happened and what the actual repercussions of it are? Do you actually weigh up that option and say, well, look, I want to keep my vote from this next tribal because I recognize that I'm on the bottom. So do I just forego this potential advantage, which could benefit me later in the game?
Yeah.
I gotta say, hold on. If Genie finds that advantage, I will personally show up to the next stream with a clown nose on. Like, I will do the whole stream. I'll do the whole. I'll
Spencer face reveal.
I'll do the whole stream blindfolded if Genie finds that damn advantage. There's no way. That would be, one, just like sad. Two, it wouldn't make any sense. And three, it would just be like just a disappointment. Like, I feel like personally right now, not that I'm spoiling my power rankings because I don't think Genie's going to be all the way at the bottom. I think the worst pure strategic player on the season has to be Genie, and I don't think it's close. I mean, maybe Tiffany beats her out, but at least Tiffany's trying to play, and at least Tiffany has Eevee who can at least kind of whip her into shape when she starts playing like an idiot. I think Genie is just bad. I think Genie is bad, and she doesn't have an Eevee to go whip her into shape. She obviously doesn't have a really good relationship, at least anymore, because Brad's gone now. And so I don't see any sort of possibility that Genie doesn't anything strategically in this season. She's probably going to be used as a pawn, and she might get voted out before the pre-merge, kind of as like an Ethan situation where she's like the person who's connected to a person who they want to weaken. I don't know if you guys are high on Genie, because I'm sure not. I'm not.
No. That definitely not. But I want to go back to the thing real quick. Like, just please, if the freaking Beware advantage doesn't get found by the merge, just give the man his vote back, please.
Yeah.
Like, give Xander his vote back, please.
Xander's just gonna make it to final tribal, not have a vote, win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a comment on one of Idle Out's community posts where Xander makes it all the way to the end of the game, doesn't have a vote, and then there's a tie between the final two finalists, and he has to be the tiebreaker as like the laurel of the season.
God.
And he still doesn't have a vote, so then they just have to give each player $500,000.
That would be terrible.
That's the only way I see how it's works out. Honestly, I mean, it makes too much sense. Really, that's how I see it working out. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really like, I guess they are gonna have to plan it back, which sucks for Xander because he's not getting his vote back anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't see a scenario where they don't give him his vote. They have to give him his vote back. That would be, one, just like really, really unfair. And two, it would make the game less interesting if someone loses their vote. Now you have one less possibility. I feel like now you have someone who just like has no shot. Like, how do you get to the end with no vote like that? There's no shot. There's no way. I don't see a scenario. And then on top of that, he can't use any extra votes or any steal votes that he finds or already has.
And he probably can't play a shot in the dark either.
Yeah. Snuff, since you're just on top of the stuff, do you know if, one, can he use his shot in the dark? And two, if he gets it back in the merge, do you have any word on that? Any rumors, Reddit?
Yeah, well, it does seem that no, you probably can't use a shot in the dark.
Yeah,
it's no risk.
I mean, we did see with Brad, he couldn't use his steal a vote either, because even though he doesn't have a vote, you still can't steal anyone's vote. So obviously, I think when you don't have your vote, you're basically a powerless player. You're a dead man walking at that point, and you don't have any power in the game. You can't play any advantages, it seems. I mean, obviously you don't have an idol either, so you can't really save yourself that way. So I think it is the ultimate screw over in that sense. I don't think they will actually let it go that far. At any point in the game, that is going to put it right in front of someone's face and say, look, there's an idol right in front of you. Zoom in with the camera a little bit and make whole song and dance just to make sure that everyone has the idol in the game. I'd imagine if it gets to the merge phase, they just say, well, look, if Luvu haven't found their idol or Ua haven't found their idol, and Xander is still around, which I would find it strange if he was still around without having to vote. And given Yasser's immunity streak, I would be very surprised if he made the merge without a vote. But at that point, I'd say they just put it aside and say, look, Xander has his vote. His idol has now been activated. And then, they just put normal idols back into the game. Who knows? But yeah, from my understanding, there's no ability to play the shot in the dark if you don't have your vote. And likewise, as we saw with Brad, he couldn't play that Steeler vote because, ultimately he didn't have any power in the game. He is a dead man walking.
Yeah,
I honestly think that if you can get to the merge without voting, that's enough to
give this man his idol.
Yeah, seriously.
I feel like they're probably not going to get his idol if makes the merge. Also does that. Also, there was no swap in the next on Survivor, right? So I guess we're not going to get a swap this season. Then.
There's no swaps on this season.
Is that been confirmed? Was that confirmed?
Not confirmed?
Hasn't been confirmed per se, and of course it won't be confirmed until the actual merge episode airs.
Yeah.
But from all I've heard throughout the preseason and up until now, it appears there won't be any swap, and it will just be plain Jane like it was back in Borneo on the Australian outback until it goes back to normal at the merge and we go from there. I honestly don't mind having no tribe swap at this point because it does really make players scramble. It screws over some players. Like, would Abraham have been the first boot had he been on a tribe of, say, 8 to 10 people? I don't think he would have. But on a 6-person tribe, it really amplifies everyone's target. And it means that if you make one bad move in the game, if you walk into camp with just a smidgen of paper hanging out of your pants and someone spots that, it could be the thing that ultimately ends your game because there's so few players around camp. One little thing can set your game off. So you have to be that much more careful with who you're working with, who you're telling about all your advantages. I'm looking at you, Brad. And where you stand in the tribe, it does give you a lot less room to maneuver. But also, if you have a couple of idols in your pocket and, Brad survives that vote, it means he can create a lot more chaos if he's, the man on the chopping block. But yeah, I don't think we're seeing any tribe swaps this season.
Yeah, probably not. Unless they pull they do a trick on us where it ends up being 8 vote offs in the pre-merge and there's only 10 people at the merge and they do a swap at 12. Yeah. That'd be interesting, actually, honestly, if there's 8 people voted out. Because I feel like now, being to the jury used to be an accomplishment. Now it's not. It's what? I got to survive 6, 7 votes. So I feel like it'd be kind of cool if they did 8 people voted out in the pre-merge. Because now, being a part of the jury is whatever, most people are part of it. It used to be kind of something special, So, we'll see.
We will see. We will see. So what happens next in this episode, Snuff? Do you go ahead and remind me?
So obviously we have Tiffany, Sydney, and Brad all finding the Bawera advantage. The Bawera advantage giving you, having to hop on a boat in the middle of the night and risk your game, really, risk the potential of being spotted. Similar to Vince and Sarah, how they left camp to try and steal fire from the opposing camp. A similar twist to that, but in this instance, they're going to a faraway island. Where we obviously find out later in the episode that there's a type or a Steeler vote up for grabs. And, I liked how they really raised the stake of this prisoner's dilemma, this game theory decision, because they did add they added another Nash equilibrium to this dilemma where, if all players choose to steal a vote, obviously they all lose their votes. But also you can't take the easy way out and all pick the tarp as well. So it really did add a lot at stake. If one person picks a Steeler vote, then no one gets the tarp. It really raised the stakes in this episode. And I think we saw that Sydney was very vigilant of where she stood in the game, especially when it came to Tiffany and how much she could actually trust someone who she had just met. It seemed like she trusted Brad a little bit, but for Tiffany, she just didn't want anything to do with her, it seemed.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't either. I actually really liked this. It wasn't the same island. I was like, thank God it's not the same island. So I was actually really pleased with how it turned out. And also good read on Tiffany because I have no idea what's going on with Tiffany right now. She's on her own island. But I mean, she really is actually. But But yeah, no, I actually liked it. I liked how it's like, well, you can't all choose tarps. You can't, like you all can't go for the safe option. You know what I'm saying? No matter if you want to come out of this clean, someone has to risk it, which I thought was pretty cool. Like you said, like I liked the dilemma because no matter because now you can't all just do protect my vote because that's just too simple. And I really hope we get more like I think like all this island shit is probably gonna be like for just a pre-merge, but if there's like now a different on each like episode, as long as they don't overcomplicate things, I'm okay with it.
So am I.
I personally like the island this week better than they had the first 2 weeks because I feel like protecting your vote was a smart and safe option. Going with the tarp isn't necessarily unless everybody does it. So there's definitely more of a risk reward with this one because like if you pick the steal a vote, well then maybe everyone else will pick the steal a vote, and there's more incentive to pick the steal a vote this time. So that might happen. Or if you pick the tarp, there's a chance you don't even get your tarp. So definitely, I thought this twist was more. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It was better planned, better executed by production, and I also like the scene of Brad trying to make a fake body out of himself. That was
that was fun, and I guess I guess it worked out, right? No one saw Brad go out in the night, so big moves, game changer. Brad's a game changer, obviously.
Game changer.
Bring him back for game changers too.
With Brad again, with old Brad, have both Brads on the game changers. He's a game changer.
I think in this episode, we definitely saw a better version of this risk your vote, keep your vote thing. I think what in this episode, what they did is they took away the option for everyone to just keep their vote because you happen to get 3 people who, aside from Brad, I think both Sydney and Tiffany probably are better off just not risking. And I think what they were worried is that Brad might just choose not risk also. And you would have got two episodes in a row where you kind of got a boring island because last episode we have a very obvious where Evie says right off the bat, I'm going to not risk my vote. Go ahead, Deshaun. It's your advantage. And so, I mean, on top of that, I have to say, I said this last episode and it seems to not have it seems to be continuing where if they're doing this every episode, and you have like 1 to 2 people getting an advantage every single episode, times like 6 at the very least. Let's go with 7. Let's say you get we even out 1.5 times 7. That's like 10 almost 10, 11 advantages going into the post merge, and that's not even counting other advantages and the post merge idols. I have to say this is. I mean, I'm not like some sort of purist, but at the same time, I mean, what do we think about like all of these advantages just being so abundant in the game? There's at least 10 to 11 that we know of for sure.
I don't actually mind them because I mean, and as I said before, it's not like you get an advantage as willy-nilly and they don't have any consequence. This season, you actually have the chance that if you find an advantage, you absolutely screw yourself over like we saw with Brad because he couldn't vote. So I think having that extra factor to it where, you know, an advantage is also a disadvantage until, until it's actually activated, until a couple of tribal councils, it adds that extra layer where, you know, it's not like everyone's getting an idol. Everyone at least is, you know, maybe getting an idol or getting an extra vote or getting a stealer vote, but they're having to risk something and give something up in order to do it. They're having to give up their position in the game potentially in order to get ahead. And I do like how it has that sort of extra layer to it.
Yeah, I agree with that actually, yeah.
I also like how this year in Survivor, you don't have to have advantages to be running the game because Chantel was my winner pick going in, and she looks like the clear favorite to win right now. She doesn't have any advantages, but she's still running the game. Evie's running the the Yase tribe. She doesn't have any advantage. She even had an option to get an advantage, and she didn't. And she's still running that tribe. And it looks like maybe Sydney is running the Luvu tribe. She also had the option for an advantage. She didn't get it, and it's not really affecting her game. So like the advantages help, but they're more balanced. And I feel like production has to work out some of the balancing, especially with the shared idol advantage that may be a little bit overbalanced to the point where it might be a disadvantage for the players who find it. But I like how like you don't need advantages to succeed this season.
I agree. I think it's always good when you give people options. When people have options, you can choose. And if you choose incorrectly, that's on you. It's very personal. Or it's very personal responsibility based. And if you make a bad decision, then that's on you. And I do think that's overall good for the show overall. So I think next in the episode, we then had the challenge, unless we had a different scene on Underdog. Do we have anything in this? Do we remember?
I think there was a little at the very beginning of the episode, which was something I did want to kind of touch on. There was just like Liana having a breakdown for no reason at all.
Yeah,
she's like, I came here to make big moves, and I felt like voting out Xander would have been the great opportunity to make a big move.
That's got to be setting something up. That has to be. There's no way that was completely useless.
I mean, I would enjoy that. I wanted to make a big move, so instead I made a dumb move instead to kind of make up for it. It's all
which like there was no reason to get out Voce in the first place. So like
also whenever I kind of get frustrated. I'm not gonna be honest. I don't like it when Liana talks. No, seriously though, like she's like, I wanted to make big moves, and voting out Xander would have been a big. Then do it. Then vote out Xander.
Then do it. It was literally it was you and Evie who had all the power. Like there's no need to not do that. You could have easily done it.
I was like, then do it. What's
the problem? Yeah.
What's the issue
here? What's the issue? You could have done it. Well, you can shut up. Okay, please. Stop trying. It could have been my $1 million mistake. You didn't go to tribal. Stop crying. Please. I don't know. It's like I always kind of find it cringy. Someone like cries on Survivor or something that like doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
Not like a Dawn who's always crying out literally everything.
Dawn followed Russell Muscle on Twitter.
Yeah, she did. I generally think that like certain types of like there's a time and place. I feel like there's times when crying is acceptable, and there's times when it's just not. It's just not. Like there's no need to cry in certain situations, and if you are like, it comes across as very ingenuine. I agree. So after this, we get the challenge. What are our overall thoughts on the challenge? So I actually loved when like the little like subtle interaction we got between Fabio, or not Fabio. Jesus,
Fabio.
I'm looking at the chat between Brad and Xander. That like made me like smile, like physically smile.
Yeah, that made me smile.
Yeah, because it was so like cool. It was like, oh, it's working, yay! And then it stopped working when Brad got voted out. But it was like, oh my god, this twist is working. It's really cool. And like, so the whole idea of it worked, but obviously it fell apart when Brad gets voted out now. And I think Xander might get voted out as well. And then you really have issues. But what do we think about this challenge overall? That or other things as well.
Well, yeah, I agree. I was like, this is Xander's last stand. How nice, this is. And I was like, oh my god, Tiffany's sorted again. She's gonna fall off the water, and everyone's gonna. Yeah, I mean, I like the challenge. Like, obviously, challenges aren't what I like really watch for Survivor, but there can be funny parts in challenges. But yeah, it was a good challenge. In the very end, it got really stressful. Like everyone, I mean, obviously Luva won, but like everyone was kind of in it at one point. And then the fact that Yasser, I don't know how to say it, Yasser actually won the challenge. I was like, whoa, what was going on here? I mean, Luva won first, obviously, but like, I mean, come on, like we all knew that was gonna happen. And then to see Yasa actually pull out and win it, I was like, oh, I did not expect that. I mean, obviously it was all Xander, except for like, I think one of them was thrown up by Tiffany, if I'm not mistaken. The rest was obviously thrown up by your boy Xander, who had it 16th about 2 weeks ago. That doesn't matter though. Yeah, and Xander, obviously best challenge beast ever on Survivor. He won it for Yasa. So I think it was actually interesting because I really thought Yasa was due for another Tribalist episode, but I was wrong.
Yeah, me too. I mean, because like some of like the Twitter posts where they were like, Yasa, it continues to lose challenges. Or sorry, they continue to dwindle. That sounds like they're trying to say that they're going to continue to lose challenges. I feel like the language they use on Twitter, like the CBS account, I don't know, it's kind of suspect. So I was going in thinking, okay, we're gonna have Yasa. It's gonna be either Tiffany or Xander, and I was definitely happily surprised. And on top of that, I've already talked about how I was completely tricked by the edit. So I think the editing so far in the season is really good. I do like the out of order editing, which is I think
I love
what we
that.
got after this. I think we went to Ua, I think we came back with Ua, I think, and then it was like an idol hunt, and then it was like And I believe we got the out of order editing where Brad finds the idol, or at least
with Jenny.
like, Brad. Yeah, exactly. And or no, this is right before the challenge happens. I think.
Yeah.
Where we get this out of order editing, and we get this. But we actually already found the advantage, and I hope they don't overdo this and make it annoying. But right now, it's fun for me at least.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like really like out of order editing. I don't know why, but like the first time it ever came up, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I still think it's cool where it's like the person's narrating it and like, well, actually this happened. You're like, oh, what plot twist? And then like it goes back to like when it happened. I think like one of the best versions of it is I think it's Dan and Dave vs. Goliath, where it's like, well, the idol's actually in my pants, and like it goes back to that. I really like it, and I like how Brad was like, I found it with Genie. It was cool.
I think the best version is Rob, and I just mentioned that, or like in Winners at War. I feel like Rob, I just the way Rob set it up was so good, and then he's like, I got all three right here, and he's like, so first, and then second, and then. I mean, that's like the perfect position for Rob being confessional wise. Like that's where Rob just like is so good at confessionals, like explaining to you and getting you on his side, even though you're really not supposed to like him. Like I feel like Rob did a really good job there with the out of order. I also think Dan was good, but we weren't really invested in Dan at that point. I feel like, and but I feel like overall in this season they've done a really good job not using it way too much. They may have overused it a teeny bit. Maybe don't do it until like the merge again, but I like it. I like it so far, and I think as long as they don't overdo it, we'll be fine. So after the challenge, what do we get? Stuff you tell me.
Yeah, well, we go back to camp, and obviously Brad, having told Shan that he has the idol and also this beware advantage, he really starts to pitch the idea of potentially getting rid of JD. Obviously, JD really didn't screw up in the challenge, but he certainly didn't make himself look too good. Certainly, those style points, I don't think he got any. I think Tiffany's dive was honestly better than JD's actual attempts to get those sandbags on the actual rack. So certainly that did put a target on his back, and obviously Brad not having a vote, it's a real bad look for him. Not having Luvia having activated their idol at this point, it means that he's still in the dark a little bit. So he really has to trust Jeannie and also Shan in bringing her in, and obviously Shan weighing up whether it's the best option to either work with JD or Brad going forward. I mean, JD, obviously she found out that he had the extra vote and took that off him, which I think was a great move of Shan to really keep him in check and ground him almost. Whereas Brad, you're working with him, but knowing that he has a number of tools in his arsenal that could work against you. So I think for Shan, it really was the question of, can I work with Brad knowing that he has advantages which are out of my control, or do I work with JD knowing that, yes, he's a little bit untrustworthy, but I know that I can use his advantage for my benefit at the end of the day. So it really was a bit of a dilemma for her.
I mean, yeah, I still don't see why they didn't vote off Jenny here. Like, I really don't see any incentive to keep Jenny at this point. It was like Chantel was like, it's between Brad and JD, but like, it's not. You could have gotten rid of Jenny or Ricard. Yeah, but like, I guess you just kind of felt like she needs Ricard for some reason. But I really think Ricard's a loose cannon, honestly, and that he can't be trusted. But I guess that's not what other players are seeing. No.
All right. So how do we feel about the other people on UA at this point? Because I feel like this is the point where now it's just UA, right? I mean, unless we get something else besides this.
Well, my thoughts on Brad is that he's no longer in the game. I mean, so obviously Chantel, she's like, cream of the crop. Like Chantel, like that's who you want to be when you're on Survivor right now. Okay, is Chantel, right? I mean, she's doing pretty well for herself, right? And there's that. I think JD's, now that Brad's gone, is in a pretty good position too. And I would say Jenny and Ricard might not be in the best positions, because right now it doesn't seem like there is that much incentive to keep around Jenny or Ricard. If they go back to tribal, it's probably going to be between Jenny or Ricard, unless JD does something stupid again, which I mean, I wouldn't put him past him to do something dumb. Maybe he'll do something dumb again. He'll be the fifth person voted out. Who knows?
So, okay, at this point, I'm just going to, so now we get to tribal. Seems like JD's nervous. I mean, JD is on the hot seat here. I think he starts to realize he's in trouble here, just like the last challenge. And again, he really does try and put his life on the line and really go out there with this metaphor. Do we think, because I know Sky didn't watch it live, but Underdog and stuff, do we think this metaphor is stupid? Do you think it worked? I liked it, but I think it's just too little too late for him. I think he's kind of taken a hit, at least, to the relationship with Chantel and Ricard for sure.
I don't think he's taken a hit at all. I really like the metaphor of the crystal and the relational stock being broken there. I don't think he's taken a hit. I think it's almost strengthened his game because we've seen that JD really isn't too strong with Shan. But I think that, yes, while it has exposed him a little bit for not being 100% trustworthy, now it's at least given him assurance that Shan has his back no matter what. And while he doesn't have as much power to create an unpredictable move in the game, I think now he's actually got a strong ally by his side where he's actually conceded everything and been vulnerable toward her, really putting all his cards on the table in order to be saved. So I think it actually works it's a catch-22 for JD because, yes, his advantage has been exposed, but I think at this point it's also given him a little bit more assurance because, I mean, ultimately Shan saved him, knowing that Shan has a better chance going forward in the game with him by her side.
I agree, and I also agree with this comment. I like looking at Genie. I don't see why Genie would be loyal to any of these people. I mean, even like because now we have left what we have the trio and we have Genie. I mean, if they don't vote out Genie next, I mean, which I don't see happening because we got nothing from Genie. I feel like they would have set her up more, at least in this past episode. I mean, I guess we did kind of get a little bit more Genie in this past episode, so I guess it's possible. Yeah, but at least we got like a full confessional, like her own
one confessional.
That's definitely what I'd call building someone up. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, maybe she's not, JD in the premiere, but she's got something. Guys, give her some credit. No, but I feel like she has no reason to be loyal. I mean, if I were her, I'd just flip and try and get in a spot where she can then make a move or two so she can get some respect. Because if she just stays with this group and gets cut at 4 or even gets to the end. I don't see a scenario where she wins. I personally wouldn't respect her game that much up to this point. I gotta say, so on the next time on Survivor, we really get 3 main storylines. We get Deshaun trying to throw the challenge. Let's get our thoughts first. So first, Skylander. I know you haven't seen this, but basically what happens is
I have no opinions. I haven't seen this yet.
Again, essentially what happens is that Danny tells us, and get a little small snippet where Danny's like, Deshaun's trying to throw the challenge, and as a professional athlete, I don't, and then
that's a sin.
Well, as a professional athlete, he can shut the. I'm just kidding. So, what I think about that. Danny is probably Deshaun's closest ally at this point, so you probably don't want to get Danny mad. But I think honestly, this isn't going to go anywhere. I think Livia is probably still going to win the challenge. I don't see them winning the challenge. I just don't see it. And like, it's kind of weird because they built Nasir's edit up last episode just to like put it back in the trash this episode.
It's weird.
Like, why'd you give me false hope about Nasir if you're just literally gonna like trash him in the next episode after? Well, we like Nasir. Well, actually, no, we don't like Nasir anymore because he went to the beach at 3 a.m. and told me to vote out Danny or Deshaun or whatever. Yeah. Did he say Danny or Deshaun? It was Danny, right?
It was Danny, which I was completely surprised about because we've all been thinking Danny's completely safe.
Well, it's Nasir who said it, so it's like, I mean,
Okay, Snuffed. How do we feel about the Deshaun trying to throw a challenge to get out? Probably, I'm guessing this year. If probably has to be.
Yeah, well, I don't like the idea of throwing a challenge, but if it gives us more or any content about Erica or Heather, I'm all for it because at this stage we haven't seen anything of them. Really, I'm not sure of the confessional count at this stage, but certainly they've basically been rubbed out of the whole season, really getting purple there. Look, I'm not a fan of throwing the challenge. I think just let bygones be bygones. Go through to the merge, and you could potentially keep winning those challenges. Yes, I think the biggest test in Survivor is when you don't have that time to build relationships at Tribal Council because you don't have your vote, and you're not letting those alliances be tested. But I think with Sydney, Deshaun, and Danny, at least, I think they can be pretty assured that they are close because Sydney's obviously revealing all these trade secrets that I don't think there's the need to throw challenges at this stage because it's not as though they're really going to go down the rabbit hole if they keep Nasir around. I actually I'm in the process of rewatching Survivor Pearl Islands at the minute, And obviously one of the central storylines there is the Morgan and the Drake tribe. And, when Burton proposes to throw the challenge, obviously their tribe just goes to the poop. And, that they really destroy themselves and shoot themselves in the foot. So I think throwing challenges is always a question.
Also, the Zapatero tribe did the exact same thing too.
And guess what happened to them?
Yep.
Well, but I think the Burton example is a little bit more comparable, especially to Drew Christie, because he was the one that thought of throwing a challenge. He was the one that get voted out because of the throwing of the challenge, and so that's the biggest fear when you throw a challenge, is that it's going to come back on you, as opposed to the Zapatero tribe, where it worked in the short term but didn't work in the long term. For Burton and for Drew, well, I guess Burton came back to the game, but for Burton and Drew Christie, it didn't help them in the long term or the short term.
Honestly, getting voted out was probably Burton's best move, because he doesn't make it past the merge out of Harvey gets there. So actually, yeah, he should have thrown the challenge to get voted off. Also, Drew Christie wasn't voted off because he was voted off because he was too much of a badass for this tribe. That's what happened. I don't
that's it.
We have officially become a Drew Christie stan stream.
Yeah, that's what it is. We should just change the title to Drew Christie's. Drew
Christie is a game changer.
Yep, that's it. Okay, and then next time on, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but just somebody give their thoughts on. We get Tiffany telling everyone from Yasi tribe, come here, it's this thing. So is it? I mean, I don't think that this would be like some sort of like
if they have another Beware advantage for a new advantage for the third episode of a row, that's kind of overkill. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Also, how Sydney got some pretty negative content, although in the preview for episode 2, Nasir got a lot of negative content, and then it turned out to be positive content. So that could be, but I feel like what Erica said can't really be taken out of context. Like she said, Sydney's irrational and she doesn't really make great decisions or whatever she said. I feel like you can't really edit that to make someone look bad when someone says something good. So that worries me for Sydney, who looks to be the leader of that tribe.
And I say the best for last. Hold on. Oh, go ahead.
Well, so what happened? Tiffany said, "Come look at this, guys," and Erica was talking trash about Sydney.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then they're throwing the challenge, obviously.
I feel like
the last thing is good.
I feel like Tiffany's not smart enough to find an advantage that isn't just blatantly on the floor. So I don't think it's an advantage. Maybe she found a dead pig or something. I don't know. Eric, come guys, look at this pig I found. I don't know.
I don't see them putting that in the show in 2021. Putting oh look, I found a big fish. Haha, we're gonna eat. Yay. I don't see them.
When is it war? Tony Vlachos finding those sharks.
Yeah,
I mean that was put in.
They didn't see
hey, hold on. Drop the 4, keep the 1. New era. It's a new era.
God. It's drop the 4 and keep the 1, except for challenges. Apparently, they're exactly the same.
Exactly, carbon copy the same. Okay, and the last big thing that happens in this episode, or at least in the next time on, is we see JD and Chantel not screaming at each other, but having this sort of argument, I guess you could say, out loud in front of everybody.
Quarrel, if you will.
Yes, exactly. And then we saw in confessional, JD's you were trying to play me, and then he says something else that kind of like that, and then it cuts out. And that's the end. I saved this for last because I feel like it's definitely the most important. Do we think this is BS? Do we think this is something where this is just how Sarah was portrayed in the next time on Survivor after the Sophie Blonde side? Is this just that where it's actually gonna be the opposite and they're gonna make up, or is JD really gonna go off on his own now and roll solo now?
Okay, wait, I gotta say, so someone actually uploaded the episode 4 previews on Survivor, so you guys talk about that. I'm gonna watch that real quick.
Fantastic. Underdog.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the next episode. This episode was, I talked about my complaints with it, but I still thought it was a great episode, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we got some good stuff in store, especially with the JD argument. That should be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think JD has any reason to go against Shan at this point. There's really, 4 people left on that tribe. Why would he go against her, given that, if he goes against Shan and Ricard, he's basically screwed. There's no reason for him to go against it. So I would be shocked, and I would say JD would be a terrible player if he does that. I do hope that in the next episode, though, maybe he's doing an impression of some former Survivor in that instance. And that's what we're seeing there. So I do want to see JD stick around so we can get some more impressions.
Sky?
I feel like JD's too big of a character at this point now to get voted out early. Unless
I agree.
But like we've had big characters get voted out. But I mean, at this point, I mean, JD gave her his freaking extra vote or whatever, right? I mean, like
That's desperation, man.
Yeah, I mean, but like the thing is now, Chantel can't just get rid of him, right, and just keep his vote. So I don't really know how that's gonna turn out. I still think it's like Chantel. I'm like a broken record, but I still think it's Chantel's best move is vote out Jenny or Ricard at this point. I just that's just how I see it. I think it's really dumb though if JD starts to burn bridges with Chantel, which is like his life like saving thing in this game. He's been saved by her twice now at this point. So I don't know if he realizes that, but Chantel saved him twice. He could have been the second vote off and the fourth vote out at this point. So he doesn't want to be getting Chantel mad at him. So he should stay away far from that.
Having a public argument, it too, just I don't know. It doesn't really sit well with me. All right,
but
guys.
It's good TV.
It is good TV. I'll take it. All right, so. Let's go around the circle. What are we doing on our channels? You know, get to tell us all types of stuff. I know. I'll start with you, Skylander. You're doing a 10-year anniversary for Skylanders. The
yes,
thing?
sir. Yes, sir. 10-year anniversary, October 16th. I know that isn't Survivor stuff. Far from it, but if
you like Skylanders, go check this man out. He's got the Skylander market shut down. With two ends. He's got it shut down. He is a badass and a manipulator of this game.
Yeah, I'm a manipulator of YouTube. Yeah.
Underdog. Tell us about the 18 videos you have edited. You have filmed but not edited.
I'm working on maybe restarting my channel, but I basically live rent free on Spencer's channel. Appreciate it. Shout out my boy. No, I actually have a long weekend this weekend, which means less time on schoolwork, more time on Survivor YouTube videos. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a video. So
Speaking of this weekend, I actually have a long weekend as well.
Same.
I'm probably going to film my videos for Thursday, Friday, and Monday, all on like Thursday or Friday. And because I'm going to get back on Monday, because over this weekend I'm going to be going to Virginia Beach. We're going to run a big beach house, have a bunch of fun with the fam. We're going to have a bunch of fun stuff. But before I talk about what I'm going to be doing later in the week, Snuff, what's going on? Tell us about what are we doing over there on Snuff?
Yeah, well, I won't reveal what 10-year anniversary I'm going to be putting a video up for in early November. It's certainly a long way away, but there is a certain Survivor moment that will have its anniversary very soon, which I'll be doing a video on in the coming months. I'm working on a very big video at the moment, a couple hours long, about all the Survivor castaways summarized into one video. So that's something to look forward to. I should hopefully have that up next week.
Is that like the Rob Sesternino like naming all the contestants, or are you like actually analyzing all of them?
I might do one of those naming everything in the future because it would be a fun video to do. But yes, it will be an analysis of every single Survivor castaway. So whether I split it up into
41 different parts,
or do it all in one.
That's crazy.
We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so I'm working on that one in the background at the moment. Also podcasting over on Reality Pop right here on YouTube. So I've got Survivor South Africa season retrospective coming up this weekend, and also an interview with Gerald Yules from Australian Survivor Brains First Brawn on Reality Pop as well.
Ooh, wait! Did you hear the news about Sandra for Australian Survivor? I don't know if you guys watch International Survivor.
Snuff was the person I heard it from. He posted on his community tab.
Yeah, I watched International too. I was like baffled by that. I did not expect that to happen. I was pretty surprised by that.
I don't know why. I mean, they must be giving her money, just like they did to Russell. Because I mean, I don't know why either of them went on, because they both knew that they're going to be like the second boot when their tribe loses. I mean, I don't know. I think she's good. She played a really good game on Game Changers. Honestly, if she didn't play on, if she just played on Game Changers, and just stopped after that, or even if she came back on Winners at War and like play like a game like Rob, where she got voted out early, but it's Sandra, of course. No, she actively played bad in Winners at War, and so I think she did kind of taint that reputation a teeny tiny bit. Yeah. I think her best game is honestly game changer.
Which is saying something,
because she literally got 5 rounds into the or 6 rounds in the game. But I think it just shows kind of
It's actually kind of
wins us.
crazy though,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
like
I
if
mean-
Sandra doesn't play that like stupid move, she makes it the merge on Winners at War, which is kind of like
They probably lose
insane.
that challenge, which saves Yule, and then someone from DeCall goes home.
Probably
Well, actually, I
so.
don't know.
Maybe it's Tony.
Because then
honestly.
Denise still plays her idol, and Sandra holds on to hers and plays hers,
Mhm.
and then
It's
who
Tony.
knows what happens.
He gets
Tony,
Sir
yeah, it is
Sari
Tony.
He
because
gets
Kim,
he gets
Kim,
Serena out of the game.
Yep. Kim
So
had an idol as
actually,
well,
thank you
and
very
then-
much, Sandra, for being bad at the game because you allowed Tony to win
There you
thank
go.
by
you.
not
Thank you,
getting
Sandra.
Sareed.
By trying to get him out of the game, you allowed Tony to win the game. Thank you very much, Sandra. And I don't know how we got there, but
Future
there you
Australian
go.
Survivor contestant. Let's go. Which is so weird because it's a blood versus water season, so I have no idea like how the logistics of that work. I'm not. I don't know if
Listen,
they're like just pulling random family members, like if like it's going to be like a San Juan del Sur type of one, or like the original blood versus water one. I don't know what the format is really, but
I think it's gonna be a mix from what I heard, but I don't know
that's
about
so
that.
weird if it's mixed.
Yeah,
Then again, it's Australian Survivors, so hey.
I gotta say, so speaking of, I mean, we don't cover Survivor. There you go, Snuffs. He wants to share his screen. There
Oh,
you go.
we've got-
Okay, there we go.
We've
Perfect.
got a little
Confessional count.
confessional chart up right now for Survivor 41.
He had 10
I mean, as you can see there, Erica and Heather, 2 and 1 confessionals
whoa,
respectively. It's just ridiculous the amount
Brad
of
had
confessionals they're getting at this point.
14 confessionals. Oh my god! Wow.
Wow.
Certainly, Evie.
I didn't know
Evie
Danny had
coming
that
into
many in the
character,
first-
and JJ as well.
So Evie has the most confessionals right now. Brad, who's the
Yep.
fourth vote out, has what the fourth amount of the fourth vote out. He's
Third.
like this third amount of confessionals. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Voce coming in with what?
Heather-
Erica and
on-
Heather have 0.
Heather
Zero in
is
the past
on
two.
pace to match Chelsea Walker for the most purpled contestant if she stays on this pace.
Honestly, I'm okay.
Yeah.
with
Chelsea was not purple at all. We got plenty of
Or
content
no,
from
no,
her
no,
in the-
Chelsea Townsend.
second
I
last
mix them
episode.
up all the time.
Ghost Island person.
Ghost
She had a
Island
confession
Chelsea.
about coffee.
Purple
She
hair.
cried about
She's
it.
so purple that I can't even remember her last name.
all you know from her is that she cried about like coffee or something. I forgot what it was, but it was something
I don't
around
remember.
like that.
Nor
She
do I
got
really care.
coffee, and JD got 11 confessionals, and oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah, I think Evie getting 0 this episode is probably the biggest shocker for me.
I don't think that's a good sign, honestly.
I
What if
think it's a
she's-
good. I think it's actually. I mean, I don't think I don't think either Evie or Chantel are going to win just because they're getting built up so hard early. And that's not really what you want. You don't want to get built up as the kingpin like in the literal first three episodes of the season. But I do think there's a chance that one of them can get very far and one of them gets booted out either like next episode or like at the merge or something. But I think honestly, looking at this. I do like that everybody gets a confessional in the premiere. I
That's
really
good.
like that actually.
That's good.
They did have 2 hours though, so it was almost
yeah,
given.
you're right.
But yeah, I'd like to see more from Erica and Heather, and certainly, as you say, Spencer, if Deshaun does decide to throw the challenge in this next episode, potentially we will get more from that Luvu tribe and see what happens there. Are we all across the board and thinking that Nasir will be the one to go home?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
Who do you think it's gonna be? Sean?
I just at this point I've gotten so bad at reading this edit that I almost don't trust myself anymore. And I generally think because it seems way too obvious. I actually think that we're gonna get a Deshaun blindside.
Oh
Devious
my-
D-Rad is no longer Devious D-Rad, more like a dethroned D-Rad. D-Rad will be going
Wow.
home, in my
More
opinion.
like devious licks, D-Rad.
He's
Yes,
got all the
okay.
licks at school. He has had all the school bath. Well, I honestly agree with you though on what you said, Spencer. I
Yeah.
think one of Chantel or Evie's gonna flame out sooner or later. I
Yeah,
think that,
agreed.
and if I had a pick, it'd probably Evie, because like
I
Ron
I
Gasser.
think that it just both of them are getting such a positive edit. I would actually think that Chantel probably flames out a little bit earlier, just because Evie like mathematically on her tribe. Obviously, I think we can all agree Liana's not flipping on her, and if Liana doesn't, there's just no mathematical chance because of the fact that Xander doesn't have a
There's,
vote.
Like, actually, unless Xander somehow, some way get the other
Gets
two
his thing
tribes-
unlocked.
Yeah,
Which is not going to happen, at least from what
Brock
we're
losing
seeing right now.
AstroTurf.
But there
Yeah.
you go. But I feel like
Poor Xander.
overall, yeah, poor Xander, you're right. But I feel like overall, it's a matter of if as long as Xander doesn't have an idol, she has complete control over the tribe, like mathematically. Whereas in Chantel, there is a scenario where Jeannie and JD and Ricard can somewhat maybe think of an idea. I think Chantel is everyone's number one, but I think Evie is the two people who have a vote's number one, and that's all that matters on our tribe. And so I do think Chantel is in a bit of a word situation than Evie just based off numbers, but I think they're honestly both in a pretty decent spot. I do think one of them's gonna flame out either before the merge or like right at the merge.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see which
It's
one it
always
is.
about muffs, bro. You gotta have feelings or whatever. I don't know.
Is there anyone who wants to talk about anything before I go and run us out of this one?
I don't know. R.I.P. Brad, second chance 2 contender. I don't know.
There you go. Voce and Brad now. Voce and Brad. All right. Guys, if you're still watching, you're crazy, and I love it. I mean, listen, if you're still watching, you love Survivor almost as much as I do. That's my phone going off. Okay. So, what we're doing later on in the week, we're going to be doing a video on Thursday and Friday, as always. Probably the first video is going to be on the craziness of the Uwa tribe, all these idol hunts, all these, advantage, bewares, Brad being nuts, Brad flaming out of the game, something like that. Next episode or next video, I don't know. No, I'll think of something over the next 2 days. We'll figure it out. And then obviously on Saturday we will drop our predictions in Power Rankings podcast. If Snuff wants to hop on that, he's welcome. If Russell wants to hop on that, he's welcome. We'll probably film that tomorrow night. And overall, guys, the next month, Monday and Tuesday, we should get videos previewing the next the next episode. It would be, I think it's episode 4 now we're on, which is crazy. Like the fact that we're on 4 after being on 0 for so long. But so I feel like overall, guys, we're continuing to grow. Thank you guys for continuously hitting that like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. Again, continue to give me video suggestions down in the comments. We've grown from this little puny channel to, to something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. And again, guys, thank you for continuously supporting me. If that's it, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.